Minister, the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, which you oversee, encourages all Irish teachers to introduce themselves to students using their gender pronouns. Specifically, it gives the example of telling the class, "My name is Miss Murphy and my pronouns are she, her." It also tells teachers not to use the phrases like boys and girls or mums and dads, because this might exclude transgender or non-binary children. So do you believe that this is necessary? For example, is the phrase boys and girls in some way exclusionary or offensive, for example?
Look, I would have to say to you, in terms of phraseology in classrooms, I understand, for example, mums and dads are oftentimes used, but also today people use guardians. Oftentimes we've come across circumstances that, no two families are the same. Some children are raised by their grandparents, others are raised in different contexts. So there is a mindfulness around language. I have not come across anything other than, somebody being introduced. For example, I know in some schools they choose for the teachers to be introduced by their first name, whether it's Mary or Mark or whatever the name happens to be, or Mr. X or Mr. Y or Miss X or Miss Y or whatever the case might be. So boards of management make their own decisions as regards how they would like their schools to operate. Some of them like the informality of referring to them by their first names. Others prefer that they would use the titles. It's a matter for the board of management to decide how they would run their own schools.
But the NCCA, which again you oversee, officially recommends that teachers introduce themselves using their gender pronouns. So it's of course it's up to the school, but still that's the advice that's coming from the state teaching bodies. Do you have a view on that? Do you support that?
Well, again, as I've said to you, and you've said they're issuing advisory there. Boards of management ultimately make the decisions as regards the running of the schools, the employment of the staff in the schools, and indeed how they will be addressed. That has always been the case, and that will continue to be the case.
But this is about the appropriateness of the advice, though.
As I said, the boards of management will make the decisions as regards how they will run their schools, and each individual board of management has the opportunity to choose for themselves.
So you agree with the advice? You think it's a good idea?